Strategic planning and architecture, requirement analysis, core requirements. First, user authentication, log in or register or log out. Second, profile photo upload or management. Third, display name management. Fourth, secure session handling. Fifth, mobile responsive design. Technical constraints must work without AI assistant, must be documented step by step, must use existing folder structure, must be deployable to Vercel. Technology stock selection and reasoning, Flutter framework, reasoning, cross-platform, iOS, Android web, single code base, learning, material design widgets, stateful widget versus stateless widget, Supabase backend, reasoning, PostgreSQL plus auth plus storage in one service. So you have auth and a storage in one service. So you have a one backend and all service in one backend. Learning, role level security, real-time subscriptions, River pod state management, reasoning, compile time safety, simple syntax, learning, River file state management, reasoning, compile time safety, simple syntax, learning, provider pattern, future provider, consumer widget. So it's compile time safety. We discussed in the previous video why it is compile time safety, and it has a simple syntax: provider pattern, future provider, and then consumer widget. So you have a provider based language, Go router navigation, reasoning, declarative routing, deep linking, learning, route guards, nested routing, image handling, image picker, native device photo access, cache network image, automatic caching plus memory management. So folder structure, live slash main.dart. So entry point, you start here. Supabase underscore client.dart configuration, the second. Router.dart navigation, third. Auth underscore provider.dart auth state, fourth, because profile provider depends on auth state. The next, profile underscore provider.dart, profile logic here, fifth. The next, home underscore page.dart main UI, 6, and then page last is the pages. In pages, you start with login underscore page.dart, so that your auth UI, 7th. The next line, register underscore page.dart, so that's your auth UI, 8th. The next line, profile underscore page.dart, that's your profile UI, 9th. So development thinking process. Why start with main.dart? Thinking process. First, every Flutter app needs an entry point. Second, main.dart initialize everything else. Third, must initialize Supabase before any UI. Fourth, must set up River path for state management. Fifth, must configure routing before any screens. Import selection logic. So you import package :flutter / material.dart, which is the core Flutter widgets. Then import package Flutter underscore riverpad / Flutter riverpad state management. Then import package Supabase underscore Flutter Supabase underscore Flutter.dart, which is the backend. Then import Supabase underscore client.dart, which is the configuration, which you will do on the second code. And then import router.dart, which is the navigation setup. Step 1, why widgets Flutter binding that ensure initialize reasoning. It's needed before calling any Flutter plugins. So the plugins or the widget are needed to be able to call those. So learning platform channel initialization. So this is how you initialize it. Step 2, why initialize Supabase here? Reasoning must be ready before any auth calls. Learning async initialization, environment variables. Step 3, why provider scope. Reasoning, Riverpad needs this for state management. Learning dependency injection pattern. So the state management, again, the provider is the root. So that's the step 3 on your main code. So why Supabase underscore client dart second? Thinking process. First, configuration should be separate from logic. Second, environment variables for security. Third, single source of truth for Supabase clients. Fourth, easy to change for different environments. Important selection. Import package Supabase underscore platter hash slash Supabase underscore flatter that dart. Let me just see what actually it's my Supabase underscore client that dart. Yeah, so that's the only one I imported, which is the core Supabase. So just importing the backend. And then next, why router that third thinking process. First, navigation affects entire app structure. Second, need authentication guards before any screen. Third, routes define app flow. Fourth, independent of UI implementation. Import selection logic. You have import package flatter slash material dart. So build context for navigation. Then next, import package Supabase underscore platter, Supabase underscore platter that's auth state checking. Then next, import package go underscore router, so the routing library, and then import all pages, which is the route definition. So in my router dart, I imported import pages slash login underscore page dart, and then import pages slash register underscore page dart, and then import pages slash profile. Basically all the pages I have, and then home underscore pages I also imported here. Home, profile page, register page, login page. So those I did not import here the profile provider, Supabase client, and the auth provider. So that's the reference. Then create Supabase underscore client dart. Step 1, thinking why the structure, environment variables for security. Second, static access for easy use throughout app. Third, single responsibility only configuration. So we have import package Supabase platter slash Supabase underscore flatter dart. Next 9 class Supabase config, then y string dot from environment, reasoning, secure configuration, different values for environment, learning, build time configuration versus runtime. So we have static const Supabase URL equals string dot from environment, argument Supabase URL. Next line, static const Supabase anon key equals string dot from environment, argument Supabase underscore anon underscore key. Now why static getter? Reasoning, easy access single instance, learning singleton pattern. So static Supabase client get client to supabase.instance.client. Then step 2, create router.dart. So thinking why redirect logic first. The first reason, security, protect routes before their access. Second, user experience, automatic redirects. Third, single source of truth for auth state. So we have final route. So why redirect function? Reasoning, centralized authentication logic. Learning, route guards, conditional navigation. So why define routes after redirect? Reasoning, routes are only used if redirect passes. So in routes, we have home route, protected, auth routes, public, profile route, protected. And then create auth underscore provider dart thinking. Why simple provider? First reason, auth state is already managed by Supabase. Second, just need to expose it to Riverpad. So the auth provider is simple because the Supabase already has it, and we just need to expose it to Riverpad. Learning when to use provider versus state notifier. So state notifier is the local in the component, while provider is kind of like the root. Step 4, create profile underscore provider that thinking why future provider for data. The reason is first, profile data comes from asynchronous database call. Second, need loading or error states automatically. Third, why provider for actions. Fourth, actions are methods, not state. And then why future provider? Reasoning, asynchronous data with automatic loading or error state. Learning, future provider versus state notifier. Now, why provider for actions? Reasoning, actions are methods, not reactive state. Learning, separation of data and actions. Then why separate methods? Reasoning, single responsibility, testable, reusable. Why absurd? Colon true. Reasoning, override existing avatar. Learning, file upload options. Why get URL after uploads? Reasoning, need to store in database. Why update database? Reasoning, store reference for easy access. And then similar reasoning for other methods. 5, create pages /login underscore page.dart. Thinking, white stateful widget. First, need to manage form state, text editing controller. Second, need loading state for button. Third, need to show error message. So why text editing controller? Reasoning, need to control text input. Learning, form management in Flutter. Why separate show message method? Reasoning, reusable drive principle. Learning, utility methods, mounted check. So why mounted check? Reasoning, prevent errors if widget is disposed. Why text field with controller? Reasoning, controlled form input. Why obscure text? Reasoning, password security. Why conditional on pressed? Reasoning, prevent multiple submissions. Why trim? Reasoning, remove white space from input. Why context.go? Reasoning, declarative navigation. Database setup. So why create profile table? Reasoning, store additional user data beyond auth. Learning, relating auth users to custom data. Why enable RLS? Reasoning, security by default. Learning, row level security concept. So it's these are all in one SQL editor query. Why these policies? Reasoning, users can only access their own data. Why storage bucket? Reasoning, store files separately from database. Dependency FIP, build and deployment process, dependency management, pubspec.yaml. Why these versions? Reasoning, tested compatibility, specific features. So the Supabase underscore Flutter, latest table, Flutter underscore Riverpad, Riverpad 2.x features, image underscore picker, camera or gallery access, cache underscore network underscore image caching. Then go underscore router, navigation, critical version. Go router version issue and fix, problem encountered. Initial go underscore router version cause build errors. Error, go router that redirect parameter mismatch. Top troubleshooting process. Check go underscore router documentation at pub.dev/packages/go underscore router/install. Second, found breaking changes in version 17.x. Third, update dependency, go underscore router 7.0.1. Fourth, run Flutter pubget. Then fifth, build successful. Learning, package version matter for compatibility. Always check package documentation for breaking changes. Use specific version for stability. The build process, step 1, clean build, Flutter clean. Step 2, get dependencies, Flutter pubget. Step 3, build for web, Flutter build web, --web -render, canvas kit. Step 4, verify output, ls space -la build/web/ Vercel deployment. So we have vercel.json -why this configuration. Reasoning, handle client-side routing for SPA. Open semi-curly bracket output directory argument build /web next line clean URLs true next line rewrites array argument source two key values source / dot asterisk argument destination index.html closing bracket closing semi-curly bracket. Phase 6 testing and validation, manual testing checklist. Authentication flow, user can register with valid credentials. User receives user does not need an email confirmation. User can log in successfully. Invalidate credentials, show appropriate error. Invalid credentials show appropriate error if you enter wrong credential. User can log out and is redirected to log in. Profile management, profile data loads from database. Display name can be updated and persist. Avatar upload works and displays correctly. Avatar can be deleted. Changes persist across app. Restart. Navigation. Auth guards work. Unauthenticated users redirect. Navigation button works correctly. Deep linking works. Go_router feature. Error handling. Test scenarios. Network disconnected during login. Invalid file format upload. Large file upload. Database connection errors. Missing environment variables. Expected behavior. User-friendly error messages. Graceful fallbacks. Loading states during async operation. Proper error recovery. Phase 7, learning documentation, key concepts mastered, Flutter fundamental, stateful widget versus stateless widget, text editing controller for form management, navigator versus GoRouter, provider pattern with RiverPad, Supabase integration, authentication flow, sign up /login/logout, database operations grid, file storage and public URLs, row level security, then state management, provider for exposing services, future provider for asynchronous data, consumer widget for consuming data, state invalidation for updates, error handling, try catch blocks for async operations, user feedback via snack bar, loading states with set state, mounted checks for default widgets, problem solving process, problem GoRouter version incompatibility process. First, identified error during build. Second, research Go_router documentation. Third, found breaking changes in v17. Fourth, updated dependency version. 5, verified fix. Learning, always check package documentation for version compatibility. Problem, image upload not persisting. Process, first tested upload. Then, file appeared in storage. Second, check database, URL not saved. Third, found missing database update in upload avatar. Fourth, added database update after storage upload. Fifth, tested full flow works correctly. Learning, complete the full data flow, not just practical. Phase 8, maintenance and feature development. Code quality standards. Standard establish environment variables for configuration. Separation of concern, UI versus logic versus config, error handling in all async operations, loading states for user feedback. So this is important, error handling in all async operation, and that's where the future provider goes. Loading states for user feedback. So it's kind of like a widget UI help. Proper widget disposal, text editing controller. File organization, configuration files separate from logic, providers for state management, pages for URL components, utilities for reusable code. Future enhancement roadmap, week 1 to 2 foundation completed, basic authentication, profile management, file upload or download. Week 3 to 4, enhanced features, form validation, image compression, offline support, error boundaries. Week 5 to 6, advanced features, real-time updates, social features, admin dashboard, analytics integration. Month 2, production features, performance optimization, security hardening, testing automation, CI/CD pipeline. Phase 9, success metrics and validation, technical metrics achieved, performance upload time less than 3 seconds, image upload less than 5 seconds, navigation transition less than 500 ms, code quality 0 AI generated code, 100% documented decisions, proper error handling, clean architecture, security, environment variable for secrets, row level security enabled, input validation implemented, secure file handling, learning outcomes, technical skills, Flutter widget lifecycle management, RiverPad state management patterns, Supabase backend integration, GoRouter navigation system, problem-solving skills, independent debugging, documentation research, version compatibility issues, error handling strategies, development process, step-by-step implementation, decision documentation, testing methodology, deployment pipeline. Phase 10, team collaboration guidelines for new members, setup process, clone repository, setup Supabase project, configure environment variables, run Flutter pubget, test authentication flow. Development guidelines, follow established folder structure, document all decisions in comments, test all user flows before PR, update documentation for changes, code review checklist, Environment variables used, no hard-coded secrets. Error handling implemented. Loading states included. Widget disposal proper. Navigation uses. Go_router. Troubleshooting guide, common issues. Go router errors, to check version compatibility, supervised connection, verify environment variables. Image upload fails, check storage bucket permission, auth state loss, verify RLS policies. Debugging steps, check browser console for errors. Second, verify supervised configuration. Third, test network connectivity. Fourth, review recent changes. Fifth, check package version. Support and knowledge transfer. Key learning resource used, official documentation, Flutter, api.flutter.dip, Supabase, supabase.com/docs, Riverpad, pub.dev/packages/flutter_riverpad, GoRouter, pub.dev/packages/GoRouter, problem-solving approach, read official documentation first, check packages examples, review error message carefully, test solutions incrementally, document findings for team. Success validation, OAI assistance, complete step-by-step documentation, working deployment to Vercel, all features functional, code quality standards met, team-ready documentation. This documentation demonstrates the complete development process without AI assistance, showing strategic thinking, problem solving, and systematic implementation. Every decision is documented with reasoning and learning outcomes.